Morning. How are you?
Someone with a small head had this on.
It wasn't Wiggy or
Nope.
me.
I got a big old melon.
Yeah.
Full of stuff.
Jerod Mayo is brought to you by Northeast Men's Health, the experts when it comes to treating the sexual health issues of men, with 5 New England offices or at northeastmenshealth.com. By Land Rover of Norwood, by John Sewer and Drain Cleaning, the name to know when your drains won't flow, and by Hellman's Real Mayonnaise. You can purchase Hellman's at your local Walmart or grocery store to add extra deliciousness and creamy flavor to your game day dishes this football season. How you doing?
Doing all right.
Yeah?
All right. Yeah, it was a tough game down there in Miami. We just got outplayed, outcoached, and we just have to continue to get better. You take that game away. The last 4, we felt pretty good about, where we were trending, and this hopefully is just a hiccup and get ready for the Colts.
I don't know what word you would use. We were using sloppy earlier. Do you feel like this team is playing sloppy? Is definitely when it comes.
I would say if you take that game, that was a sloppy game, and it starts with the penalties. And look, the post-snap penalties, you can sometimes go back and forth. It's the operational penalties and the lack of focus that really frustrate me, and I know frustrate the team.
Jerod, we talk about this every week. It's like you said, it's those penalties that you have, the false starts, and it's continuing. When do you get to a point, and I know it's probably difficult based on personnel, when guys do start messing up where they got to be concerned about their asses being on the bench for the rest of the game and worrying about playing time?
Yeah, and that's the hard part, as you continue to try to build a culture. And look, these are the things that we're not going to do. It depends on the position group that you even look at and whether we have depth at that spot or not, or we don't have depth at that spot. That definitely goes into it. But it's unacceptable by all the players.
So depth at that spot that
I'm just using general position.
Well, I would use it like Vidarian Lowe, like somebody who ends up being penalized 3 times in that game, and certainly costly when it comes to where you are field position wise. Do you have to look then back at the roster and say, we don't have the depth there, at the position that we need?
No, that's part of the conversation, not only now, but also, in the offseason, where we are, where we do have depth and where we don't.
We've been talking about already this morning about your comments after about once the guys cross the white line, there's really nothing you can do for them when it comes to penalties. And then you brought up the fact that you just need to prepare them every single week. Do you feel like every week when you're going in to the game that they are prepared to not make those mistakes? How do you make sure to up that as the head coach when it comes to practicing to make sure that this isn't a repeating issue?
I've always said in the media, even when I was a player, that or I should say going back to when I was a coach in 19 when I first started, is that once you cross the white lines, like, it's your game. There's nothing I can do to do. I try to give you the tools. You have to go out there with high awareness and execute what we're trying to do. I've always said that, and if we would have won the game, it looks like a compliment. We lose the game, now it looks like a slap in the face. But if you were to ask any of those players, I say that all the time.
There was a report this morning that as Drake Maye was talking to the press, that there were several offensive players laughing. How do you clean up the culture where players don't find any sort of frivolity in a blowout loss in Miami?
I didn't get that vibe in the locker room. When I broke the team down, I told them how I felt about the game. I'm not sure, where that report came from. What I will say is, I heard like one person, I guess Lowe, smiled during a question. But look, that's him. He smiles all the time. Look, we're disappointed. We're all pissed off, and we all understand that we have to get better.
The report was from Mark Daniels, though, and a few people have come out saying that while Drake Maye looked really affected by the outcome of the game, the offensive side of the locker room, a lot of guys were fooling around. It didn't seem like they were taking it seriously. And I think for a lot of people, when it's week in, week out, you wonder if they've just given up on the season. And that's worrisome for some.
I don't think we've given up on the season. I would say, the one, I guess, positive to pull out of the game yesterday is that they continued to play. And going back to the penalties and all that stuff, shooting ourselves in the foot, like, we have to clean that stuff up. To give up 24 points in the second quarter, like, we can't. It's hard to come back from a performance like that, and we just got to get better.
Speaking of Drake, your thoughts on his game yesterday?
I thought he did some good things. Was able to extend plays, but again, like, the turnovers are, they're hurting the team, and he understands he has to clean that up, and hopefully that's part of his development.
Are there some things, because I know you said, like, once the players step on the field, like, all right, it's up to them. But are there some things that you looked at this game and go, maybe we could have doubled Waddle a little bit. I know it's tough because they also got Tyreek Hill. Maybe play a little bit more zone. There's some things as you go back and you watch the film that you said, all right, maybe we could have did differently schematically as the game was progressing.
Yeah, I think you always have to go back when you watch the film and, win, lose, or draw. You always go back and reflect like what we could have done better. So that's regardless of the game. We always feel that way.
Jerod, there was a report last week that Marcus Jones texted Alex Van Pelt to let him know that he could play offense. AVP then said that he hadn't seen film of him on offense. That's just unconscionable to me. How was that not something that entering the season Alex Van Pelt would have looked at, considering how big of a playmaker Marcus has been in the punt game?
Yeah, coming into the season, our main focus was first to get Marcus healthy, and then secondly, he's one of our starting corners and punt return guys. So, to spend so much time on special packages and things like that. Look, he's one of our best players defensively and in the special team realm. And look, we've talked about it before. I'm not sure where you want to go from there.
Well, he said on this radio station on Friday when he was asked about it, Alex Van Pelt, that the wrong guy was being asked. So does that mean that they were asking the wrong guy? So does that mean you're the guy that needs to be asked about that? About why there was no talk about incorporating him into the offense when you had in seasons past?
We've had those conversations as a full staff, and again, Marcus is our starting corner and one of the best punt returners in the league, and we have to use him in those ways.
You bring up the fact that the defense gave up 24 points in the second, but then the second half as a whole, you guys only give up 10. What were the adjustments at halftime to make sure you were able to control them a little bit?
It just goes back to just execution and, seeing the full picture. They hit us with a lot of motions and things like that. I would say the most disappointing thing for me overall defensively was just the communication. It has nothing to do with the first level. It's the second and third level who have to take that by the horns and make sure we're all on the same page, and we just didn't do that, especially in the first half.
Now, I not now, but I definitely owe you an apology because after, watching Washington and Chicago, I might have been wrong on the whole personnel thing at the beginning of the season. Off of that,
just keep that. We never get an apology.
Yeah. All right. Just put it in my pocket.
Yeah.
Save that.
So for me, that was my bad. But off of that, do you feel like you've been given every possible tool to be successful as a head coach coming into the season that you thought you'd be given?
My thing is, look, we knew, at some point in time we were going to take our lumps. And I think, it's easy for us to focus on this season. But, as the head coach of the team, I have to think about every single game and also, what we're trying to do going forward. And, look, we'll get better. We'll get better.
You feel like you should have been given the challenge on the Waddle catch?
I do. I know a lot of people probably said something about that, which is funny to me. It's a huge difference. It's a 15-yard difference. There's a 15-yard difference if it is an incomplete pass while these guys are in field goal range. So I'm not sure where, people kind of got confused by
there's everybody's a critic.
No, I'm fine. I'm fine with that. But I just want to. Part of my job is to teach you guys football too.
Do you hear all that stuff, the outside noise and stuff?
I don't hear that stuff. But sometimes, part of Stacy's job is just to give me a heads up on what are hot topics, and I know that's one of them.
One of the things that is.
Did you think it was a catch?
I'm not an expert.
It didn't look like a catch.
It looked like the ball was on the ground. I mean, so it looked like it was it was a good challenge. I'm going to say that to you while you're here.
Then when I leave, you're going to say that was. But
when it comes to what about? Do you ever hear the criticism that you appear like at times that you're coaching scared?
Yeah, I've heard that. Look, my thing is I'm always going to do what I think is best in that moment in time. Now, have there been times throughout the season where I go back and watch film like, I could have did that better? Absolutely. I'm sure when you first started on this show, you're a lot better now than you were when your first show.
Arguable.
Yeah, I'm just saying, everyone,
yeah.
They act like, it's not a learning experience, and that growth doesn't happen. Like when you write articles and stuff, I'm sure if you look at the first couple articles you've written versus the last, I'm sure they're just a lot better for everyone here at the table. And I will be a better coach going through this adversity going forward.
But does it upset you? Because Greg and I always go back and forth on this. And like you said, it is human nature to hear some of the things to talk about. Does it upset you that you're in a position where you're always going to be compared to a guy who had been doing it for 50 plus, or however long he's done it, where you're in your first year as a head coach, and then there's always a comparison to Bill Belichick, the greatest of all time. Does it not upset you when you go home and say, like, damn, cut me a little slack. You my first year. I'm learning as I go.
I never look for slack, and I don't really get into comparisons either. Like I said, it's the guys in that locker room that I have to do a better job getting ready for games.
You talk about yourself getting better throughout the season and moving forward. Do you feel like Drake Maye, every single game has progressed, even though they may have been losses? This game, it seemed like maybe he took a half a step back.
Yeah, look, if we would have won the game, I mean, the whole narrative would have been different. And again, I don't think progress is like a straight line to the top. I think you're going to have those ups and downs. But after you look at it from a longer, viewpoint, as long as it's still going this way, it's going to be like this. But as long as it's going this way, then, I mean, look, you'll be happy at the end.
If you were going to jump ahead and look at the offseason, what to you are the key areas where you need to look at improving this football team?
Look, we're always trying to get this football team better. That's too far right now for me to look ahead. Like, my main focus is on this game and getting the win, so you can smile more.
Yeah. We'll
could use that.
We'll look ahead for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Wiggy will look ahead.
Yeah, wide receivers and maybe Max Crosby. I know he's a little disgruntled out there in Las Vegas. So
You're trying to get him to tamper here.
no. I'm just
exactly.
throwing
please.
guys out there that I would
I'm
like.
putting my hands up like this.
I don't coach like Jerod said. I don't have anything.
Well,
to
you
do.
did one season.
Yep.
Yeah, well, guess what? Unlike
How did that go?
like Jerod, I was, a lot of stuff was thrown my way that I did not deserve.
Right.
Like what?
You were not
Footballs.
given all the tools.
Yeah, I was not given all the
what?
tools.
Like, what's your?
Well, I did not get to pick my own coaching staff.
Oh,
So, I
Break
had
up the bus.
yeah, he's rolling
I
over.
did not, he's rolling over.
Some of
the
You go over and
some
you
of the
roll
guys that I
backwards.
did inherit, believe me, I wish I could have removed them, but because it's a union thing, I have no control of that, Gerard.
But did they talk about you on the radio afterwards?
Though they definitely talked about me behind my back.
Behind his back, they did. Yes.
Gerard, I just interesting because I feel like you may be coaching differently if you had pieces to sub in for guys that were making mistakes. Is that just a fair blanket statement without calling anybody out in particular?
That's a fair assessment.
Okay. Hellman's Mayo question of the week. You can purchase Hellman's at your local Walmart or grocery store to add extra deliciousness and creamy flavor to your game day dishes this football season. We're in the realm of what if and what could be, what might be. So I'll ask this. Rodney Harrison, Vince Wilfork, and Adam Vinatieri are Pro Football Hall of Fame semifinalists. If you had one vote, who would be the guy first?
Vince Wilfork.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
Because
Really?
to me, he's one of those guys that, he doesn't have all the big stats, but when you talk about the Hall of Fame, I think about dominant players, and he was a dominant player.
Wow.
Is he the only defensive guy to win both in the first part and the second part? Because he won in 04 or 03, and then he won
you're
again
right. That's
in
right. You're
14.
right. That's
I
right.
think he's the
No,
only,
you're right.
only defensive guy that was part of both.
And other than Ray Lewis, Rodney's the only guy to have 30 interceptions and 30 sacks.
Yeah, all the
That's impressive.
players that you guys mentioned there are worthy. You asked me to stack rank it, I'm going Vince.
Yeah, I like it. What's the week like with the holiday on Thursday?
Yeah, I mean, look, we're working. We'll clean this up. The guys are in today, and we'll be in tomorrow as well. Wednesday, full pads. Get ready to go.
What do you got going on Thursday?
I think it's Thanksgiving.
Who's cooking?
Not me.
Not you.
No.
Are you a ham or turkey guy?
I'm a turkey guy.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank God.
It depends what kind of turkey you're talking about. Not that dry turkey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
You like a fried turkey?
Fried turkey or Cajun turkey.
Oh,
Wow.
Cajun
Never had a
all right.
Cajun turkey.
Cajun turkey. All right.
Greg just woke up.
Yeah. You got me. All right, Coach. Have a great
Nah, I
Thanksgiving.
appreciate you guys, and I hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving as well. I'm thankful for all you guys. Seriously, I am. And look, this is going to make me better. Like, go ahead and, you can question everything. It's going to make me better in the future, and I appreciate it.
All right.
All right.
Well, I mean, we try to do it in a, in a kind way.
No, don't do it in a kind way.
All right.
It's fine. It's fine.
Respectful way, at least.
Look,
All right.
no,
That is Jerod Mayo.